we are joined now by Eddie Garcia. He is the co-host of the Puck Podcast and does Locked On Podcast for the LA Kings as well. What's up, Eddie?
Hey guys, how are you?
Eddie, how are we? I'm going to start this a little off topic, but we have some folks in here. I have a lot of Toronto ties, so let me just ask you on the heels of Shanahan being let go and another. You're a hockey guy. You get it. 3-1. It's notorious. Game 7s. The Leafs. Were you surprised about Shanny and like Berube versus what moves they actually had to make for this team? How'd you feel about what they did with Brendan Shanahan?
I wasn't surprised. He had been there for 11 years.
Yeah.
He did oversee a rebuild. He was part of the group that got the core four together, with Matthews and Marner and Nylander and Tavares. And, it's one of those things where it just kind of ran its course. I don't know that it's necessarily his fault or, that you blame him more than you blame anyone else. But, 11 years is a pretty long time. And, probably both sides could use a change. So, yeah, I was not surprised by it.
What do you think's next for them?
Well, I think Mitch Marner's gone. We'll see about John Tavares, but it's one of those situations that you see in sports where the team's good and they're good enough to make the playoffs, and they'll try. It's that whole thing where you're not going to just blow it up. I mean, they won the division. They won the Atlantic Division this year, right? So it's not going to be major changes. But they're going to try to tweak this and that. And, maybe a little bit of bad luck in what happened with Anthony Stolarz, their number one goalie. Not saying he's the greatest goalie in the world, but, they lose him early on a kind of a controversial play. And, they got to go to their number two. And I'm not saying it's all Joseph Woll's fault, but you lose in a game 7 and you don't have your number one goalie. Maybe if he's there, maybe they win. Probably not, because it's the Leafs, but it's one of those, like I said, it's one of those things where you're a good team. You're not going to make major changes, although I guess you could say Mitch Marner.
You just thought Eminem, like Matthew, you just thought that pair would have something more to show for it than this conversation we're having on May 27th.
Yeah.
In 2025.
Matthews was clearly not right. But at the end of the day, nobody cares. You're out there playing, you're going to be held responsible for your performance, but he wasn't what he needs to be. So they'll make tweaks. I don't know that they're going to make any major changes, but they're definitely going to have to make some tweaks. And Marner, I think, is gone. He's in this opportunity that he'll never get being again at his age, the chance to be the highest paid player in the NHL, maybe.
Yeah.
The salary cap going up, he's going to get a boatload of money, and he'd be crazy not to take it. And you guys know as well as I do, when it's all said and done, the money talks, and some team's probably going to offer him $16 million of the year, and he's going to be like, yeah, I'll take that. And maybe he needs – I know he likes Toronto. I know he does. I think in his heart he would like to stay there, but maybe he needs a change too. I mean, he hasn't come up, big at all in these big games. So maybe he needs to go somewhere else, and it's better for everybody.
So, Eddie, speaking of needing a change, I got to ask, because, you're talking about going from a number one goalie to a number two goalie. What do you do when you go from a number one goalie in the regular season and that guy turns into a number two goalie in the postseason, the way Hellebuyck does with the Jets? Like, what do they do there? This is like, is the sample size large enough now that they're like, hey, like this just doesn't work in the postseason? Like, what do you do there?
Well, they signed him to 8 years, so
just eat it. You just got to deal with it.
I mean, unless he comes to you and says, "I want out. It's not working here. We both need a change." Then yeah, I mean, they decided, they were going to sign him, and I get it. I mean, he's a great regular season goalie, but yeah, I mean,
like it's kind of uncomfortable to watch at this point.
Well, it's no worse than like Harden and some of these guys. It is uncanny. Somebody dropped a Hellebuyck Lamar Jackson reference on me. I was like, oh boy, it's getting bad.
saw a thing on social media. It was Austin Matthews wearing a Joel Embiid jersey, which was very, very awkward and kind of funny. But yeah, no, I mean, you just keep going with it. I don't know what other choice you have. You know, you made the decision to sign into the long-term extension, and you're now married to him, for better or worse. So buckle up and get him a sports psychologist and see what happens.
Maybe a witch doctor too. Like, I don't know, they got to do something.
Try anything.
Prolonging the inevitable or enough championship DNA for the Carolina Hurricanes?
Oh, I think it's just prolonging the inevitable. But Florida's kind of a weird team for all the experience that they've had, probably about to go to their third straight Stanley Cup. They kind of play with their food.
Yep.
They eat it a little bit.
They do, man.
I mean, in the finals last year, I mean, they had the Oilers 3-0 and let them get back to a Game 7. They won it, so nobody cares. But that was, that could have been a historic collapse that, we're not even mentioning. Well, I guess I am mentioning it. But, I mean, Toronto, they let them win that Game 6. They go to a Game 7, although they won Game 7 pretty easily. So, I don't see Carolina. Carolina's not as good as Toronto. I love how scrappy they are, and their team above whatever. But hockey is very much a team sport, as you guys know. But you still need that alpha. You need somebody that you can lean on in key moments. And I like Sebastian Aho a lot as a player, but he's just not that guy. And they desperately tried to get a guy like that. They tried with Mikko Rantanen. It didn't work out. They probably should have asked him, hey, do you want to play here before you make a trade for him? But I think they'll go hard after Mitch Marner in the offseason. They're a market that is desperate to get an alpha. And I don't know, Mitch Marner is that, to be honest with you, but they're going to try. They need that guy, and they just don't have it. So I think it's prolonging the inevitable. But, like I said, Florida's kind of a weird team a little bit like that.
Now, this is granted, it's unconventional, and they're doing it in a way in which I didn't see when we picked them. But you and I, we were kind of kindred spirits with the Stars still alive, although they ran into a buzzsaw the other night. But I mean, this has got a chance to be a really, really good series with the Stars and the Oilers, right?
Well, they got to win tonight, though.
Yeah,
It's not nearly as desperate as the Hurricane situation. If they win tonight, then buckle up. But if they don't, then I think they're done.
How do they slow Draisaitl down?
To me, it's more about McDavid, to be honest with you.
Well, he's playing. He's a given. He's just going to do his thing.
Well, I guess you didn't ask that question because it's not possible.
Yeah.
Draisaitl is a moose, though, man. Like, seriously,
they can't get him off the puck.
No, he is just so. He's a wide body. I mean, just keep trying. Stay with him. Just try and. I mean, he's not the fastest guy in the world, so you can stay with him, but you're not going to get him off the puck. Just try and keep him from being in a dangerous area where he gets the puck and he puts it in. But I love the NHL and I love the playoffs, and it's just so. I was just thinking about this the other day. It is so hard to predict. It's so different from the regular season.
Yeah.
It's just. I'm not going to sit here and say that I get my picks right all that often, but my final four, only one of them made out of the first round. I mean, sometimes it's so unpredictable. You're just kind of like, what was the regular season for? It doesn't tell you much of anything. It's such a different season. Crazy. It's crazy. But that's what also makes it very intriguing as well, that it's not predictable. It's not like, a lot of times in the NBA playoffs, I'll be honest with you, I have not followed the NBA playoffs this year, so maybe it's, but I've seen that in the NBA, you usually don't get a lot of upsets, right? Usually it's the teams that you think is going to
especially in the first round, right? It's almost boring.
Yeah. So It is both maddening and intriguing, the NHL playoffs sometimes.
This isn't the same Dallas Stars team that you thought playing wise when you picked them in the preseason, though. Like, credit to how they've kind of gotten back healthy and piecing this thing together. Or are they better than a pieced together team at this point?
I just don't understand how their depth isn't coming through more. And I know injuries are always a part. Like Jason Robertson clearly is not healthy. He's not even close to being the guy that we've seen in the past. But they've got so much depth, and I just thought that would shine through. And Edmonton isn't a very deep team, and yet, guys like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins suddenly are contributing and making plays. And
I'm surprised they've held up physically. Like they've gotten to skate pretty freely in the neutral zone, which that can't happen if you want to slow these guys down.
I don't know. The Oilers are a team that I just can't figure out, especially, they've got two, they're like a football team that's got two mediocre quarterbacks and they both play and they still keep winning. And you're like, I know they've got an elite, the elite player, but even Connor McDavid is not, he hasn't gone crazy. It's not like he is leading in points. He's getting a ton of assists, but, it's not like he's leading in goals or even close, really. Stuart Skinner, that guy, I mean, he gets blown out in the first two games. He loses his starting job, and you're like, okay. And then through injury, replacing another journeyman, he gets back in, and then he throws, two shutouts, and then he'll have one goal in his last game. You're like, that doesn't make any sense. That shouldn't happen, but it is, and I can't figure these guys out. Maybe they're just way better than I thought, and again, I get it. They've got the best player in the world, but that typically doesn't mean you're just, automatically going to be a good team. I just didn't think they had a whole lot of depth. I didn't think their defense was very good. I didn't think their goalie, the goaltending isn't good, but it's getting the job done. So I can't figure that team out.
That's our guy, Eddie Garcia. Eddie, appreciate the time. Enjoy the rest of the playoffs here, and I'm sure we'll check in again soon.
Yeah, and here I am saying it's unpredictable, and we may have a rematch in the Stanley Cup Finals.
But that rematch would have been unpredictable at the start of it.
And it's
true.
the windy road too. Wow. Yeah, I'm with you.
All right, guys, take care.
Thanks, Eddie.
Appreciate the time as always. That's Eddie Garcia. Make sure you check out the Puck Podcast or Locked On LA Kings Podcast.